Good evening, everyone. I'm Sharon Winstead, and I'm with North Carolina Emergency Management in the Hazard Mitigation section. And what I plan to go over briefly with you this evening, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but just to reiterate that information for you, and we will entertain any questions that you may have once I complete this. We know that mitigation is a long-term action to prevent future disaster losses. So FEMA funds the program, and the money comes down through the state of North Carolina, and the state provides the money to the jurisdiction, and that could be Princeville or Edgecombe County or any other of the declared areas. NCM this time for this particular disaster, we are prioritizing for the heaviest damaged residential structures, and those may be for a buyout, and you've heard us talk about that tonight. Elevations, which that is raising the house, and mitigation reconstruction, which is demolish and rebuild. Here are some examples, and you will see some examples around the room on the poster boards on what some of the elevations look like. We had several questions of how will my house look if we elevate it, and can you elevate a brick structure? So we have put those up or around the building, so please take a closer look. But just to show you what an acquisition does, acquisition and demolition is exactly what it is, a buyout. You buy the property, they demolish it, the property has to stay free and clear, cannot be sold. The county or the city actually owns that piece of property. Nobody can ever build on it ever again. It becomes property of that particular jurisdiction. This is the most permanent type of mitigation that we can, that you can have. So you want to say that you can promise somebody that that house will never flood again? Demolish it. It will never be flooded again. That's why we say it's the most permanent form of mitigation. The pros to this is just like I said, it will never, they will never suffer another loss on that piece of property ever again because it's not there anymore. The cons to that, of course, is that it takes the structure out of off the tax base of that particular community. So they will not receive any taxes to fund the town if you demolish and acquire that property, because like I said, the county will actually own it. The county can do some other things with that piece of property for public use, like a park, that sort of thing, but not a permanent structure will not be able to be put on that land again. So don't worry about that the town is going to take your property and sell it again or make money off of it. No, that will not happen. Elevation, of course, is basically what that says. It's actually raising that house. We will, with our program, you're raising the structure above the base flood elevation plus 2 feet of freeboard. That is what the county ordinance states here in Edgecombe County, that it has to be 2 feet above freeboard. So that's what that is. That is what is one of the most common forms of mitigation that we do here in the state of North Carolina. And the pros to that is that you get to stay in that property. You're not uprooted from the community. People have lived there for years and years, and they decide that they do not want to go. Well, just elevate me. And what that does is just helps you. We can't ever say that you will never be flooded again on that property because we're not God or whoever, the higher being, to say that it's never going to be another flood. But it helps to mitigate the possibility of another flood because you're taking that house above the base flood elevation as it's determined by the maps. And a lot of things go into our maps, the maps that are done. It's not that just somebody decides, so we're going to say this map, you're in an AE zone or an X zone. There's a lot of science and lots of things that I can't tell you because I'm not the engineer, but a lot goes into it to come up with the determination as to what zone you are in. But that helps us to say that we can minimize the amount or the flooding that may occur on that piece of property again. Like I said, the pros to that is that you're not uprooting, you're out of the community, you get to stay in the community. The cons to it is that you do have to maintain flood insurance on that piece of property. And another pro to it is that the county or the city, whatever jurisdiction, you still receive tax income from having that piece of property stay within in the confines of that community. The cons, like I said, are that there is a possibility that it will flood again. I can't say that it will never flood again because I can't do that, and I will not tell you that. The other part to that is that another con is that you will have to maintain flood insurance from the time that you elevate. That's one of the requirements of receiving the grant funds, that is you do have to continuously keep flood insurance on that property, whether you sell that property, the next owner would have to do the same thing. If I'm talking too fast, I tend to talk fast and trying to not take up as much time for you because you've been here for some time. Mitigation reconstruction is basically what it states it is. That means that we will come into that particular property and it can be demolished and another structure built on that same piece of land. There are lots of different things that go into us doing that. We don't just say that you're going to get a new house just because you want a new house. Basically, those are for people, for this particular declaration. If your house is totally gone, if you lost your whole house or you cannot move back into that house, there's a possibility that we can look at mitigation reconstruction. And basically that is if you have a structure that is partially damaged and really substantially damaged because you can't move back into that structure, then we can have this, the grant for this would be to demolish it and build a new structure in the place of it, and you would have another house there. The house is not going to be a McMansion. Trust me, it will be a basic structure. The grant states that you can build 10% more than you have, no more than that. And it has to stay within a certain dollar amount of $150,000 federal share. So like I said, you will not have a McMansion. You will have a basic structure. But if you do not have any structure, I guess that's better than no structure. You're not homeless anymore from that standpoint. The pros to that is that you still stay on the land. You still, you say, okay, this land has been in my family for 100 years and I do not want to go anyplace. But because of because of Matthew, you lost your home. You get to stay on that land if you are, chosen for this particular mitigation project. So, and then it's not as much disruption. You do not have to move to another location. You will be out of you're out of your structure now, out of your home now, as it is because you have lost everything. But you will get to come back to the land. The cons to that is pretty much the same thing as with an elevation. You will have to maintain flood insurance on that structure for the life of the structure. The pros, like I said, is that you get to stay there. The county or the city, whatever jurisdiction, will still have tax base on that particular structure. Principal status, and these are some numbers, and I'm going to let you know there are some new numbers here. The hazard mitigation, you know that we were down here from February 8th to the 14th, what we call a mitigation DRC. And for that particular, during that time, we received, and let me give you, as of Friday, we have received, I want to say 337 applications for mitigation, some form of mitigation. We have had, the application period is for the expedited program, and we say expedited, these will be the first group of applications that will go to FEMA. These are the applications that will go to FEMA that are people that have actually, what we consider homeless. They have no place to go. They're either living in TSA, they are living with relatives, or they just cannot get back into their home. So those are the ones that we're going to try to get through the process first, because we will try to get them back into some permanent structure, because for us, we want you to have permanent safe housing. And that is the main objective of our program, is to help you get back into some form of permanent housing. So those are the ones that we will look to receive applications from the county. The county will send it, or excuse me, Princeville, or even the county either, will send those applications to us. We will work on that grant application, and we hope to submit those as soon as possible after then. We have another time that the county and the city will have to submit applications to us as well, and that is the May 1st deadline. That means that we will get those applications in at a later date to FEMA. We have until October 10th of 2017 to complete the application process, but we do not intend to wait until that time. So as soon as we get these applications into us, we will start to process. We will start to process the letter of interest that we have received from the jurisdiction, so that we can get the FEMA grant application in to FEMA so that they can begin to work on it. I like to tell people all the time, this is not a program that will happen in 10 days. It will not happen in 6 months. It may be a year. And we have until 2020 to complete the whole process. But that's why I say those folks that are considered homeless, we want to get those applications in, and we've been working with Mr. Gerald and the commissioners to get those applications in, and we will look at those and try to get those in as soon as possible. We will do it on a kind of a rolling basis. So if they get theirs in now, as soon as we get the application ready to send up to FEMA, we will send it up to FEMA. We will not wait until 6 months down the line, until October to send it in. We will send it in as soon as it is ready and working with the county or the city. So we're taking these applications now and up until March the 31st, or the county will take them up until March the 31st, and they will send that information into us. And if they have some additional applications that come in after that date, they have until May 1st to get those into us through another application process. We are working with the town to prioritize, like I stated, these applications of folks that are out of their homes so that we can get them in a grant application to go to them. We are working, and one of the things that we want to let you know is that we're working on the available funds. We have a lot of need. Of the 50 counties that were declared to date, we have received 2,300 applications. We know that the funding is not enough for everybody. So we do have some other opportunities. You've heard them talk about funding through the state and funding through CDBG-DR, which is to go to unmet needs, because we know that there's not enough money to handle everything throughout the state. And my director is here if he wants to say something about the unmet needs. Do you have any information, Joe? Okay, no additional information, but I just want to give him an opportunity to let you know. But we are working very hard to get these applications in, and we will do what we can that's humanly possible to get the applications in, and hopefully we help as many people as possible. And like I stated before, the grants will be submitted on a rolling basis through October 10th of 2017, but those people that are the most impacted will be the ones that we send in the first. And that's our contact information. I know you have probably seen Tiffany Parker. Tiffany Parker is the grants manager that is assigned to Edgecombe County and Princeville, and so she will be working with the town to get the applications in so that we can hopefully get them all funded as far as the money will go. I would say, I can't say all of them will be funded, but as far as the money will go. And my supervisor, who is Nick Burke, and some of you have probably seen him as well, and I'm Sharon. So if you have any questions, I will be glad to answer whatever I can.
Other questions?
I do. Sharon, what are once the applications are received, what is the process for the citizens knowing whether or not they qualify? And those who may not qualify, what will the recourse be for that?
Okay, very good. Excuse me. Once we receive the applications, we will let the town manager know the list that we will actually send. It has to go to our director, Mr. Sprayberry, and he will give his blessings to what we have submitted to him. And then we will let the town know exactly the ones that have made, that have made the cut on that list. And then you can get in contact with the citizens to let them know. We are also working with unmet needs. So we're keeping those, the folks that probably will not make that first cut, we will keep that information and if they're, to see if they're eligible for some other program or some, as I said, they have unmet needs and stuff. Using the unmet needs that, monies that are coming down through CDBG-DR and some other money that we've gone to the legislature to get. And I think we're also looking at some funding, some additional funding through Congress as well. So we will take that information and start trying to match people in other programs so that we can hopefully help as many people as we possibly can.
So then, say a person signed up for the demolition. If they do not qualify for the demolition, will they be able to then apply for another one, mitigation?
Not under, they could possibly go into the next round that we send in the applications that come in after May 1st. But what happens is when you apply for an elevation, I can't come back and put you on a demolition if we sent that grant application in.
So I guess you're saying that if you do not qualify for the elevation, then that means that you don't qualify for any of them?
No.
That's not what you say?
Let me explain. What I'm saying is that, okay, we will send in applications for, when we send in an application to FEMA for, say, an elevation project or an acquisition project, at the time, we will send it in for all three. We have those three, but it's only for the properties that have been identified on that grant application. But that does not say that they are not eligible. It means that we may have had a cutoff. We know that this is as far as the money will go for this particular section. But we can put them on the next, we could possibly put them on the next group of applications. Say they decide, well, okay, they were not eligible, like you said, for a demolition repeal. But they are interested in an elevation. So when we send the next group of applications in for Princeville that go in after the May 1st deadline, they could possibly be on one of those applications or on the application for an elevation under that one. But they could not, you say it in an easy way, hopefully, that I'm not confusing people. Every house that we submit to FEMA in an application, we can't change it once that application goes in without going back to them and asking for a scope of work change, which would change all the houses. Because people say, well, somebody says, okay, well, you said that my house was eligible and I'm on that grant application. And say somebody decides, well, I'm gonna take that house off because I don't want that person to get it. That's not the way the program works. When we send that list of names in, we send all the property information for that particular property, for those particular properties on that grant application. And that's the grant application that goes into FEMA. And when we send them, we want them to be eligible. We send them in that we have vetted them on this level. If they get knocked out for something else, it would be something that FEMA has determined that they are not eligible. But if they've met everything else, because they go through a rigorous vetting process when it goes through them.
It's also important that we can't submit to FEMA for multiple project rights.
Right.
So we can't submit your house for acquisition, elevation, and reconstruction.
Right, that's true.
It has to be
One or the other.
Right.
So you can't say, well, I don't know whether I want acquisition or elevation, so I'm gonna submit my house for both. We don't do that.
I think. Okay, I think, so, and to my understanding, when we feel that they ask us which of the three, which one to decide to do. And if you change your mind, you have the option to do that. So you're saying is if I send, once I send my application in for what I chose, and then it's going through like the process, and it's accepted, And then once, they get back in touch with me whether or not I was approved, so even though, if I'm approved for it, that I can't change my mind, or if I change my mind, like you said, suppose I said I want to get my house elevated. And then I decide, no, I don't want to get it elevated.
Okay, let me make sure that I'm understanding your question. You're saying that if you decide that you do not want it elevated at all, that after you submitted an application for elevation, yes, it's a voluntary program. You can change your mind at any time. You do not have to, if you decide that you do not want your house elevated, there's nobody that will say that you have to have your house elevated, not with our program.
Okay, but if you had approved to get it done,
If it is,
if you're going through the process, and they said she could do it, you said, no, I said, no, I don't want to take that now. You said that application is pulled out, and you went back and you whatever you decide to do, the other two options, then it's resubmitted, and it's going through the process again?
it could possibly be I won't say that it will automatically go into the next group, but if you decide that you do not, after you've submitted the application through the county and it has come to the state, and we have done the whole application process and applied to FEMA with your name, with your property, on that grant, you can still change your mind and say, no, I do not want it. I mean, like I said, the program is totally voluntary. You do not have to accept it up until the day that you get ready to sign the HUD-1 form for an acquisition. You can say, I do not want to do this, and nobody will force you to do that. It is totally a voluntary program. But once it comes in to us and we've actually sent it to FEMA, and your name is on there, and you decide, you can withdraw at that time, but then you would have to go back through the whole process, and we'd have to put you into another application if you're eligible, and if the application process is still open and available.
Sure, I think in one meeting you guys said that even if you opt for the buyout, and if the bulldozer is on its way to your house to tear it down, and if it's there before it busted down, you can say, no, I changed my mind.
Well, that's a,
Can't sign the paper.
no,
Can't sign the
you
paper.
can't sign that HUD-1 form. You can't go closing, you can't do a closing, you can't go to the closing and say, I'm gonna close on the house. You can do it up until that closing, up until the day that you go into the attorney's office to sign that HUD-1 form to say that I'm selling my house.
That's just like if you sold your house on the market and you went in and went to your closing and signed your papers and gave up your keys, you can't change your mind. So once you go to closing, it's fine.
So that scenario that given before was not quite, maybe I misunderstood what you were saying.
Yeah,
It's okay.
Okay.
yeah.
Can't buy your car.
No, once
Drive it and take it.
No, it's,
I got you.
we do not have a trial for acquisition or elevate, elevation either, you know, so. But did I answer your question?
I'm still a little bit confused.
Okay.
Because, I guess I'm saying is that, you know, now I'm hearing that you have to go through this process. I mean, say if you decide that you want to get your house, say I said I would go about it, this hypothetical, okay? And then you all go through the process of seeing if I'm eligible for it, and then if I'm not, let's say what do? You go through the process, see if a person is qualified for about, or qualified for the elevation, or qualified for the other
Mitigation, reconstruction.
So you have to be qualified for any of those three?
It's not just, it has to be cost effective, and that's the main thing for us. It has to be cost effective in this particular program. And so we go through it and we look at it. We have a line item budget for each structure, and we go through there and we see for an elevation. FEMA has come out with guidelines for us that say typically a house can be elevated any place in the United States for $175,000 or less. Most of them are less, unless you have a huge house. And we can do everything. When I say everything, that means the feasibility study to see that it can be elevated. That's the engineering portion. That's actual elevating the house, building a new foundation for that structure, reconnecting your utilities, building the ramps if you need a ramp, even the relocation for the time that you have to be out of your house while they elevate. We take into consideration everything from start to finish. This program is a program that FEMA pays 75% of, and the state picks up the 25%. So it's no money out of your pocket under HMGP. This is a hazard mitigation program. So we take into consideration everything, like I said, from start to finish. Any attorney fees, all of that is included in the grant. So when we do that, by the time you get to the other end of our little spreadsheet, it tells us how much it's going to cost us to elevate the house, down to project management. And if it falls within that guideline, then we say that it is cost effective. Unless it is outside. Then we still have to do a VCA on it, which FEMA has provided us with the software to send each property through a benefit cost analysis on it that tells us whether or not it is going to be cost effective. And what happens with the mitigation reconstruction, sometimes a house, somebody says, okay, I want to elevate my house. But we know that if we elevate or try to elevate that house, once an engineer takes a look at it and does his little, all the things that he has to do, he says, this house is not feasible to elevate. We cannot elevate. If we try to elevate, it's going to fall apart.
Then what happens?
Then we will look at moving it over to a mitigation reconstruction project.
Okay, that was the question.
I'm ahead of it.
And does that happen without a reapplication?
That happens without a reapplication.
But the basis, when you come in to do your application, in order for you to sign up for a mitigation reconstruction off the bat, the whole house has to be gone. The only way to move from elevation to reconstruction is once that engineer that the grant pays for comes out and says it's not safe to elevate this house, then you can be moved to a reconstruction.
Automatically. Okay.
I think you said in October is the deadline for the completion of the application from the state to FEMA.
Yes.
So is it safe to assume that in October, November, everyone who has applied for one of the three options, they're gonna know if they are eligible for whatever they have applied for? And just hypothetical, if there is a dwelling that is beyond repair, and you are not selected for any one of the three that you asked to be a part of, and that property is still there, does the homeowner have to bear that burden now of having that property demolished and taken to the landfill or whatever?
Pretty much. I hate to say it that way, but that's where the unmet needs come in. We will look to see if we can move you, put you in contact with one of those other options that we have available for funding for something else, for a mitigation. And I'm not saying that it would be or it wouldn't be, but if there's no additional funding available, then we don't have any more funding unless Congress or the governor or somebody gives us some more money that we can do the program, can do the program.
So in actuality, we could wait until October, then not be eligible and have the same problem we had in October 2016.
Yeah, the sad part is the need, there's so much need, not only in Princeville, but like I stated, I know Princeville was hit very hard. But of the 50 declared counties, and we do not know the full scope of this because we have, everybody has until the 31st of March to submit applications. But as of Friday, we had 2,300 applications for some form of mitigation. And we know that we do not have enough money to fund all 2,300 of those at this point.
That's probably why the governor said he's looking to do affordable housing in other areas, we try to help out.
That's where we're seeing the unmet needs and the funding that is coming from the CDBG-DR program, funding that is coming from the state legislature and some funding that we're also looking at additional funding through Congress to try to mitigate as much of this as we possibly can through these programs. But then there are other, we have what we call a SHOT team. They're our state housing operations team they're looking at various other options. I think it was the county manager was referring to some other people that were coming in and were going to be helping to rebuild and do additional work in this area. Those are the types of programs that we will be looking, that if we cannot get you in one of our programs or any of the others, that we can match you with one of those types of programs that will be able to assist you.
So actually, none of the, I think you got you, but. So none of the initial money that was spoken of earlier to the county manager, none of those dollars are a part of the money that you are applying for the mitigation program.
This is, our program is through, this program, the HMGP program, the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, is strictly FEMA funded, down through the state to the jurisdiction.
So imagine, if you will, it'll be like a chessboard. We will have multiple funding streams. Hazard mitigation grant money, CDBG money, state money, wherever we can get money from.
Volunteer money.
We're gonna look at all these applications we have and we're gonna be moving them around. We can't fit you here, but we can fit you here.
We try to fit you.
We can't fit this house here, but we can fit it here. We're gonna do the best we can to mitigate as many houses as we can across the 50 counties in the impacted areas.
And that's where our SHOT team is. They have identified lots of resources, and so they will be looking at the applications that we will not be able to make it into one of our mitigation programs to see where can we put these houses, hopefully.
Is there anything that an individual can do? Because I heard you say earlier that you'll be responding to the county or either the city government. Is there anything that an individual can do to know their own status of where they are?
Stay in contact with your person on your county or city level, because we will communicate with that person. It would be hard for us. There are not enough staff for me to communicate with 2,300 people, not effectively. So, but we will be in contact. That's what Tiffany's job is for this area. She will be and she's been in constant comment. I'm thinking of my tea. I'm ready to stay awake. She'll be in constant contact with the locals to let them know. We let them know who is in and who is out. And then it's up to them to communicate with the citizens.
Out of the 50 states,
50 counties.
County.
correction, 50 counties, first come basis.
No, we have not decided how the caps are going to be, but we will be looking at that, but we were not going to do that until we receive everything in for this, March 31st deadline. And then we will have a better idea of the need out there, and we will start looking at that. We have not determined that yet, but we will let you know when we do that. Princeville will not be left out. I promise.
Put a stamp on it.
We will not leave you out.
I'm working too hard.
Right. I got a mortgage.
Just out of curiosity, Ms. Sharon, is there equal distribution among those three options? So like, do you just have like $1 million in demolition, one not? Okay. All right.
And we're working. Trust me, we have been very creative within the guidelines of FEMA to see and use all the opportunities that we can to make this money go as far as it can go.
Any additional questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious, the application that she's talking about is the one that we filled in town of Princeville today? Okay, because I could do mine different, because the man told me that I was working with, he said I could sign twice for the ratings and the reconstruction. And to my understanding, you said we're gonna like do one. That was, I had talked to Mr. Pratt, and at the town of Princeville.
Mr. Who?
Pratt,
Press.
he
I
did my
think what he
application.
was saying was the demolition and reconstruction. That is one where they demo your house and break it.
So I'm safe, so I signed twice.
No, that's not what you should have did.
Did you do elevation and reconstruction?
Yeah, he told me I could do it twice. He told me, because I went back, I did one in black. He said, oh, well, you could do it twice. So I did one in black and one in blue. So do I need to come back and do another
Yes,
application?
that's not right.
You need to select one option. And
Yes,
If
we
your house
understand.
is still on the foundation, then you
Yes,
would want
ma'am.
to go with elevation.
Okay, correct.
Do you have his phone number?
Do I have who?
Mr. Pratt.
I went to the town of Princeville.
Other questions?
Oh, man.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is there a motion to table the purchase of the home from Heritage Park? Probably moving second that we table the purchase of the home from Heritage Park. Are there questions? All in favor, please vote sign aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the county easement request. Is there a motion to approve? County easement. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
It's probably moved in second that we approve the county easement request. Are there questions? Yes, sir.
This easement that we discussing is supposed to bring sewage in from Speeds through Princeville. And I'm wondering, and I'm sure the board has thought about it too, how was this decision arrived and who approved of it without coming before the board and asking, or was it something that should be, that the county can do? It's almost like seizure, that easement, and I'd like to hear the county manager could speak on that. And if we decide to, we would like to, before we make it carved in stone, we'd like to negotiate some things about the recovery of annexing, having some things done on this side of the river regarding the river itself, like channeling. Someone, I think some of y'all are already on top of it, and that's what we really need to look at. Channeling the river, avoiding the dog leg down on shallow landing, and maybe we could ask for some support on that from the county, like a barter thing. With Mr. Anderson, who owns that particular part of the river. So, can we talk a little bit about this?
Talk about that at a later date because it's already been voted and seconded. But then I have to move forward. Are there nays? Anybody against?
You can't be saying it or put it back?
Yeah, the motion and second.
I would like for the county manager to come forward with some presentation.
That's not a part of this though. We've already been voted on, already been seconded. Now we have to vote, you vote against, you can vote against it. Got to approve, anybody against, any negative. Okay. 2 against, and I vote for, so the motion approved. County easement has been approved. Next item on the agenda is the resolution to accept the recommended advisory base flood elevation levels. And I think we should approve the resolution after the removal of section B, section 1 and 2, which requires citizens to raise it. Everything is good except for requirement for citizens to raise. Is that a motion?
So moved.
Read, you need to read. Okay, we approve the resolution after removal of section B2. It does not require citizens to raise their home. Highly recommended, but not required. Is there a motion? Been probably moved and second that we approve the resolution with the exception of section B2. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is the distribution of donated funds. I do have an additional check for $500 from Crystal Cathedral Church. I think we've already decided how we're going to spend the previous funds. From this point forward, we can come up with another method of distributing the funds, but I give this to the town manager. Any discussions? I know at number 3, assign 1 or 2 additional members to help Ms. Powell oversee the process of funds received and distributed. I know Mr. Commissioner Bullock recommended Commissioner Powell. I mean Ransom. Powell. Commissioner Ransom. Is that okay with you, Commissioner?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Commissioner Ransom and we'll come with somebody else later.
Yes.
Okay. It's okay. Got Commissioner Ransom now. Come with somebody else later. I'll have somebody. Yeah. Okay. On the new business, is there a motion to accept both resolutions annexing track 1 and 2 into the incorporated? Okay. To accept both resolutions and annexing track 1 and 2 into the incorporated town's limit of Princeville with the exception of changing Ward 3 to Ward 4.
So moved.
Properly moved and second that we annex both track 1 and 2 into the city limits of Princeville with the exception of removing Ward 3 to Ward 4, changing Ward 3 to Ward 4. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Reconstruction or movement of the town-owned buildings. I think we are sure about what we want to do with the fire department. We have a motion to move the fire department into the new annex area. Probably moved and second that we move the fire department into the new annex area. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Is there a motion to keep the town hall, the museum, and the senior citizen center as is with flood proofing?
So moved.
Been properly moved and second that we keep the town hall, the museum, and the senior citizen center as is with flood proofing. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Town manager report.
I don't have a report, I just want to say thank you to Judge Lewis for representing us. We'll be with the service until Saturday. Now, we'll be calling him on Saturday because we talked this past Saturday. So, I want to say thank you
Any comments from the town attorney?
No, thank you, it's been an interesting evening.
Princeville Volunteer Fire Department?
It's 10 o'clock, I'm not going to time.
Okay.
Just about the resolution, to move the building out to the location. I don't know anything about the building.
I'm sorry?
I don't know anything about the building as far as the specification. My organization is planning on building our own building. What I would suggest would be to work collaboratively with our organization, so we can build our organization. Because I know we have some capital investment to put in that building, and I think it's kind of reasonable that we get those back. So if we could just entertain that at a later date, so we can kind of work out the logistics part of it.
Have you spoken with EMC yet?
I haven't.
Okay. They have grant funding available with fire department.
All right. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you much. Senior citizen report? Okay. General concerns of the board?
Just want to thank everybody for coming out. And we do hear your concerns, and we are working on it.
I too want to thank you so much for coming out. As you can see, Steve has shown that this is a process. And the length of this meeting tonight is a very small indication of the length of the process of trying to get each of us back home safe and in the condition that we were, or even better before the flood. But thank you so much for your time and your patience, because it does take patience in order to rebuild and to rebuild Princeville. But thank you so much, and we really appreciate you. Don't mind answering questions or calling on us at any time.
I just want to thank each and every one for coming out. I want to thank you too for coming out, and I'm going to stop raising my hand, start interjecting, because I have some things I want to say too that you need to hear. So I'm going to be a little bit more, not belligerent, but I'm going to be out of order sometimes to get to that one. Got some things to share with you. Thank you for coming through. God bless you.
Thank you so much for coming in. There's a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Probably moving second to adjourn. Other questions? All in favor, please go to sign aye.
I don't understand.